Hello, everybody. This is Stephen again. I want to talk about something that's related to the topic I've been recording about for the last several sessions that I've characterized as what blocks us from getting what we want. I've been listening to and watching a lot of videos lately from John Vervaeke's Awakening from the Meaning Crisis series on YouTube, and he's presenting a lot of valuable insights. And one of them is related to meditation. I've been a practicing Buddhist now for almost 40 years, and so I have a lot of experience with sitting meditation. And Vervaeke says something in one of his videos that was really revolutionary and really different from anything that I think I've heard in any Buddhist teachings. And that's one of the things that I want to talk about. Vervaeke talks about the fact that in order to um, optimize machine learning, you have to counteract a phenomenon that he calls overfitting to the data. So I'm gonna try to show this on a whiteboard here if I can. Just a second. So he draws a line sort of like this. I'm just, okay, that's not right. Let's try this one. Draws a line sort of meandering like this, and Zoom's obviously not letting me do what I want to do here. So I'm going to eliminate that. I'm not very experienced with these whiteboards, so obviously I was using the wrong tool, but I'm just going to show you with try to show you with an air drawing. So he draws a curved line sort of meandering back and forth and up and down like this. And he says, computers are so powerful that when they're sampling data and they draw a graph to represent the data, they're going to trace the line that goes through every node of the data. And the problem with that is it may not be representative. It may not be generalizable to the population. Whereas a human is going to draw a straight line, ascending line like this that may not intersect any of the nodes of the data, but is going to be the best fit to the data and is going to be generalizable. And he says, in order to get machines to draw that kind of line, you have to introduce a certain amount of chaos or noise into the system, or you shut off half the nodes, and then the computer will draw a line that's fairly similar to the one that humans would draw. And then he says that mind wandering is, I'm not sure if he says hardwired or at least is very prevalent um, in the human psyche. And we know this from teaching beginning meditators that most of them, if asked to keep their mind steady on an object, will not be able to do so in most cases for more than 3 or 4 seconds before their minds will wander to something else. And this is called colloquially in Buddhist and meditation circles, this is called monkey mind because it's jumping around all over the place. And there's a lot of variation in the way something like mindfulness or insight meditation or calm abiding or shine or zazen, forms of sitting meditation, are taught in Buddhism. And some schools say that you should even forcibly try to hold the mind very tightly to the object, and others recommend a more or less, let's say, a less aggressive style in which one is, for instance, encouraged to gently bring the mind back to the object of meditation. But none of them say, as far as I've ever heard, what Vervaeke says. He says that mind wandering is actually essential and conducive to insight, and he's likening it to introducing chaos or noise into a data set in order to get the machine to produce the line of best fit that I described. And so he's saying that mind wandering is actually essential and necessary in order to generate insight. And I don't believe I have ever heard any Buddhist teacher say this. And it may represent a difference in Vervaeke's view about what constitutes enlightenment or insight, but it's a very encouraging teaching because it means that we don't have to struggle with ourselves. And that is a very good thing, because inner conflict has been a great source of suffering for me, and I suspect for very many other people. And the struggle to discipline the mind has likewise been a source of great consternation and suffering for me. And so to realize that something, that mind wandering is actually a good thing, makes me reflect that perhaps a lot of other things that I've judged as wrong or bad or not workable are actually helpful. And that there might be, likely are, I would say, a lot of mistaken framings of our experience that tell us that we're doing things wrong, we're making mistakes, when actually this is not the case. And this actually is consistent with some of the highest Buddhist teachings that I've ever received, such as Dzogchen and Mahamudra, which say that basically we're already enlightened and everything is perfect just as it is, and that it's not necessary to change anything. But why then didn't the Buddha just teach that right from the very beginning? Well, it turns out that just telling people that doesn't work very well, because there seems to be this ingrained tendency in the human psyche to judge some things as bad and wrong. And that seems to be one of the most pernicious roots of our suffering. I recall what Vervaeke said about what he calls parasitic processing in episode 13 of Awakening from the Meaning Crisis. It's a detailed process that he draws and makes a diagram of, but the process starts when we perceive and judge that something bad has happened to us. And then the process cascades or degenerates from there step by step until we actually get stuck and lose our agency. And if we could stop the process at its beginning, which is the judgment that something bad has happened, I think it would prevent the whole process from taking hold. And so I'm using this insight that mind wandering is actually a good thing as a clue to an evidence that at least some of the things that we judge as bad and wrong are actually good and helpful. And I'm suspecting that there are maybe a lot of things, maybe, in fact, if these higher Buddhist teachings are correct, everything that we judge as bad and wrong is actually a misframing of reality. So that's my message for today. And hope you have a good day. And I'll see you during the next episode. Goodbye.